Comedy, especially in the black community, truth to power. I always say we the third eye. We right below the pastor. It's Jesus, it's your clergy, then it's comedians.
I'm not preaching. I'm a stand-up comic. My first priority is to entertain you. If I'm making you laugh and I'm educating you at the same time, brilliant. So I talk about police brutality in my set, but I do it in a way you don't even realize I'm talking about police brutality, and then you go, oh shit. I don't care about Starbucks banning Wi-Fi for porn. That doesn't interest me. That's for white dudes. You know it's white dudes. Black guys get arrested just for not buying coffee. Can you imagine if they got their dicks out? I shot the penis. The penis was resistant.
We have always, from the Richard Pryor to the Dick Gregory, God rest his soul, made society see what they was doing to us in a comical way. And just laugh about it, to keep from crying about it or being violent about it. So I take that on. I take on that responsibility very serious. I have to talk to my people and say, yeah, this happened to me too.
I hate to see any baseball player having troubles, because that's a great sport for my people. That is the only sport in the world where a Negro can shake a stick at a white man and won't start no riot.
Dick Gregory represented us not just as a stand-up comedian, but as a civil rights activist. Dick Gregory spoke when I was a freshman in college. The way he schooled me, Medgar Evers schooled him, and it was all about doing the right thing for all and not one.
Great men have said before that a soldier can fight for his country against another country, but it takes something like a super special man to fight his country when it is wrong.
If you're a black entertainer and you talk about race, you're gonna take a hit. Like, it's just natural. Because there's always gonna be backlash. Same thing with like Kaepernick. Like, white people don't want to see you talking about the issues. They just wanna laugh. You're just a comedian, just stick to your J job. I felt more connected to artists that use their platform, especially if you get the opportunity to be in white rooms on white television in front of white people, especially white people that generally don't see you. You should be talking about the issues, but at the same time, you need to stay funny. And I think that's what separates a great like Dick Gregory, is he was able to be political and still funny, because at the end of the day, people want to laugh.
You can always laugh at problems that's right. Everyone in the whole world knows this is a wrong. So then you can make humor out of this, and matter of fact, you enlightening people on just what's going on.
It's like one of the last bastions of free speech that we have was through comedy. You know, we used to have the last poets, you know, Nikki Giovanni, and we don't have poets anymore that are famous. Poets that can speak for us, you know. This revolution will not be televised and all that. We don't have anybody holding our fists up. The only people we have left is comedy.